Hey everyone, it's Laura
Hey,
from the USS Susquehannock, and I have Jordan here and Mike and Carl, and this
Hey.
is our newsletter for this month or this quarter. Um, and for once, we're not recording in Hosses, so you won't hear dishes in the background and stuff. Well, hopefully not. So yeah, so we have a few things to talk to you about. Mike's got some stuff about, events and what we can do. We've got some information from Carl on his the Eagle and on New Freedom Fest, and Jordan's got a report from, the medical officer, and I want to talk about a show that I was reminded of. About a week ago that I really liked, and I just hadn't thought of it recently. And it's called Alien Nation, and I want to talk a little bit about that. So I'm going to start though with Mike. So go for it. Go
Hi,
for it.
everyone. Welcome to this month's newsletter. Um, I'd like to welcome everybody that's seeing it. Glad you came and took a look at it. One thing I want to tell a little bit about the group. Yes, we are a very fun sci-fi group, or try to be. Lately, it's been a little slow on the fun part, more of the business side of it, but we're trying to expand back into it. We do have two events coming up, New Freedom Fest and the Abo Witch Festival, which, yes, will be table events. If you want to do something, please bring it up. And it doesn't have to be something that we've set as an event directly. If you're going, say you decide you want to go see a museum in the area, and hey, it'd be fun if more of the people came along, put it out there, put it up on the Facebook group, put it out for us, say, hey, we're going this time, this date. You may get a few of us to show up if we're available that day. Some days, you never knew what somebody's doing and say, you know what, that sounds like a good idea. I don't have anything for that day.
Yeah, because
Um,
sometimes we don't. Sometimes it'll be something we didn't hear about, and we'll be like, "Oh, I didn't even know about that. Sure, I'll come out."
that's for sure. I know there's a lot of events over throughout just the York County area, let alone the York Harrisburg area that we're part of that go on. So sometimes just bringing that up brings the attention to us. I mean, it's always nice when we come to meeting and bring up some ideas, and we're always willing to listen. Uh, Not everybody's gonna go for everything, and but we make it what we can. We try to be inclusive, and if you ever feel that we're not being inclusive, come to us, or come to either me or Laura separately and say, "Hey, I'm kind of feeling a little left out here," so that we know that we need to pay better attention because
Yeah.
there's going to be things we miss, but we
Yeah.
definitely want everybody to enjoy the group.
Yeah, and we do know that, sometimes you're like, I don't want to go to a business meeting and stuff. And so you don't come to the meeting to suggest things, but, like Mike just said, put something out on our Facebook group. That's what it's there for. And say, hey, I'd like to do this. Is anybody else interested? And that kind of thing. You don't have to just mention things at the meeting, and you don't have to necessarily make it an official, thing in order to, invite people to come out.
So I'm looking forward from hearing from everybody and us getting this group back into the fun style group that we were when we started out.
Yeah.
And it takes all of us to make it that. So enjoy the rest of your week. Uh, if we do have a meeting the end of the month, well, we have them every month. Like I said, if you feel like coming out and bringing something to us, that is fantastic. If you've got a question or a comment that you're not sure how to take it, reach out to me, reach out to Laura. We can answer the question or direct you somewhere. We will do everything we can to make the chapter a great chapter.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I did want to thank those who came out for our dinner at Duke's. that was nice. Just, a chance to get together and chit chat and, have some good food. We also have an escape room coming up. I believe that's in November. We're looking at the Atlantis um, escape room. We thought it might be fun. And keep in mind with escape rooms, you don't worry about, oh, I've had people say, "Oh, I'm not good at those kind of things." It doesn't matter. It's just for fun. The last one we did, we didn't get out of it. We didn't finish it, but we were pretty proud of ourselves how far we got, and it was a fun thing to do, just to have fun together. So yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much, Mike.
You're welcome.
Um, Carl, would you like to go next here and
Yeah,
talk?
okay, I'm going to talk about basically two or maybe a little bit of three things, and I'll try to keep it somewhat brief. So, again, Mike had mentioned we have two events coming up, and the next one is on the 20th. So it's 2 weekends from now, the Saturday, the 20th of September. And it's New Freedom Fest. It's where I live. I live in New Freedom, and you probably know, but New Freedom is a small town in southern York County, about 3, 4 miles off of 83. We are going to be having a stand there for selling collectibles for charity and recruiting. That being said, it is a whole town-wide event. And, just because you come, you can come say hi to us. You don't have to, you can help if you want, but we just love to see anyone there that's in the group or even on Facebook watching this stuff like that. And you can potentially go and have a fun time for very little, almost no money outside of your gas. There's even they have pony rides, they have like 2 or 3 stages of free entertainment. There's a dance academy, they have acrobatics and dance and stuff going on. They have a pet parade that's free where people dress up their pets. And sometimes, I mean, there are vendors, you can spend as much as you want on items and food, but sometimes churches and places even give out free food. Like there's a church around here that gives out hot dogs and chips most years. So it's called a celebration of small town life. They have a train right here. It's a historical train. And they do charge a little something. It's a special that day.
Are
So,
they
it's just something you can come out and have a fun time at and stop in and see or help with our stand if you choose to do so. And that's on the 20th of September.
Carl?
Yeah.
Just wanted to ask you a question about it. Um, are they doing the train this year? I know last year there was some sort of repair being done.
Well, they don't have the replica. They have several trains at this point. And one that is not here right now is a replica of the one that Abraham Lincoln used when he was on the way to, I guess, to the Gettysburg Address or his funeral train or both. They also have a 1950s diesel that is in operation.
Okay.
So I do think they're going to have the 19 because I just heard it, yesterday. So it is something that, it's something the town's getting to know for. Hobbies are big these days, and train buffs are coming here because of the history to it. So I mean, we may as a group, we usually end up going out to eat somewhere afterwards. But again, it's not a high cost event because there's a lot of entertainment and things, the pet parade, the stage area in the park that are free. Again, Susquehannock will be having a table there that I'll be spending a decent amount of my time at. So again, we're going to set up the table at 9. The event is 10 to 5. So you can look it up online. New Freedom Heritage is the name of the website. Um, and again, it's a they've been doing it for some years, and it's usually a very well run event that there's plenty to do and see.
Yeah, and we're hoping, we'll um be able to collect a little for our charity. It went very well last year. Um, our charity is New Hope. That provides all kinds of services for people who are kind of, having a hard time, down on their luck, um, you know, and um, and although they are not specifically part of the New Freedom area, there's another organization down there. Nevertheless, it's, it's our charity. And that's what we'll be collecting for. And New Freedom's a really a really nice little area. And like Carl said, it's a free event with a lot of stuff to do. And we love, like you said, even if you can't, even if you don't want to like spend time at the table, at least come down and say hi to us.
Right, and even a lot of the other towns, like down what they call Susquehanna Trail, there's special flea markets and stuff at some small farmers markets. That day, markets at Shrewsbury up the trail is open, and you could ask me about any of those. So if you haven't been around this area, it's definitely worth a day out. And again, it doesn't, cost very much.
Right. So
So.
tell us about what's going on with the Eagle.
Okay, well, as many of you know and have seen other items before, my friend James Hutley and I, we copyrighted a character called the Eagle. It is supposedly Central Pennsylvania's first superhero. It's this guy who was a lawyer, John Smith, got abducted by aliens that gave him powers to fight in gladiatorial fights, and he escaped back to Earth, and now he uses his powers for good. So what we did a few years ago, back in 2019, is we made, and this actually goes with what we're going to be doing at the All But Witch Festival. So we made a big book with different, stories, what you call prose, regular written stories with some illustrations. And we made a small comic book that took place at Chickies Rock, up in Lancaster County. It's a 200-foot quartzite formation, a big rock cliff. You can see it from the bottom or the top, and there's different legends about it. And the comic book, had some errors. It was a little short. So I always thought I was going to expand it. And now we did make it into a 40-page graphic novel. And basically, this is what I call a collage essay. It's some of the art that Lance Footer, the artist, did for the original comic. It has some different, like, actual photographs in it of the area and beyond. And it actually, this story, I have some AI pictures in it, and I have some historical pictures as well. And it has to do, like, here is an actual picture of a trolley that back around, the turn of the 20th
Oh,
century.
neat.
Yeah, that's an actual historical picture of a trolley that used to take people up to an amusement park around the turn of the 20th century at Chickies Rock.
Oh, neat.
And there's actually three main legends at Chickies Rock. And so the book now goes into two of them. The All But Witches were supposed to be little 4-foot Bigfoot like creatures that you see around the rock that steal people's apples, eat them, and throw the cores at them. And that goes back to at least the 1930s. People have been reporting these things. Some people say the 1800s. But also, there is a legend called the Three Witch Sisters. And apparently, when they wanted to build the Donegal Railroad, started making all types of money, transporting things from the Susquehanna River aside of Columbia and Marietta, Pennsylvania, near where Chickies Rock is. And they decided we're going to make a trolley from the train line and make this park to make extra money and to give the people something to do. So the three sisters lived in the woods atop of Chickies Rock, and they decided no. And there were rumors that they were witches. But they said, nope, we don't care how much money you're giving us. We don't want to sell. So eventually, and there's at least some truth to this because of what actually did happen. Eventually, the company said, well, it's tough. Everyone else sold. We're doing eminent domain. And apparently, the three witch sisters cursed the area because they were forced to give up their land with something
Well, it
called the
makes me
six.
happy.
Right. So, so it gets into it. And actually, like a few years later, there was a trolley collapse where the mayor of Columbia and five other people, six in all, perished
Ooh.
because they got attacked by locusts, which is similar to the biblical story, from Exodus of Moses, which people said that these three witch sisters had the sixth and seventh books of Moses that explain how to do that. So, the story is based in some historical truth. So, to keep this short, our hero, as his human side, John Smith, is walking at Chickies Rock. He sees this girl fall off the rock, and then he notices she's gone. and he has this phasing power where he can see events of great turmoil of the past, almost like psychic residue. He gets images in his mind, and he learns that in the 1980s she was murdered by a boyfriend who tried to play a trick on her and wasn't too, thrilled that she wasn't happy. And it gets into the residual hauntings of the three witch sisters and everything that led to this big, that he wants to bring these guys to justice, that they were never punished for what they did to her, and it all ties into the legend of the All But Witch and the three witch sisters. Now, right now, you have to buy these from me. I am going to probably put another edition out on Amazon, at least as a Kindle download, sooner or later. So it is now a 40-page graphic novel. I call it, well, I call it a collage novel. It has some comic book art, some prose, some regular, parts that are written in fiction, like that. Again, historical pictures. I mean, there's the one that here's an actual historical picture after the trolley crash. Those are
Ooh.
people that survived the trolley crash in 1906. So, it's just something that, I'm interested in superheroes, I'm interested in legends, and it's just something I'm putting out there. I hope other people enjoy as well. And I am in the next few events donating part of the money to our charity.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, it looks like you really have expanded the book there. That's neat. I like the historical pictures especially because that kind of just, gives you that, that peek into, what things were like back then.
Yeah, I like to think it's a unique thing.
Yeah.
And I just want to hear people's responses to it. So, again, you get this one. I give you the shorter one, the one that was actually staple bound, it was all comic. I give you that for free as well, so you can see the expansion. Plus, so, I try to, just make it a little educational to how, I've been dabbling in publishing, self-publishing, and some small press actually accepted me as well for the last several years now. And I'm just, interested in getting people's response.
Nice, nice. Well, that should be great. That should be great because they're having it right at Chickies Rock this year, aren't they?
Yes, they are. So yeah, this All But Witch Festival, and again, it's something that you can go into for free. They have a lot of vendors, so it expanded from the streets of Columbia, which is it's technically a borough, but it looks like a small city. It has a little over 10,000 population. And some of the breweries and stuff there still have specials. Then they went to this beautiful park at Columbia where they have the visitor center and everything, a big gazebo. They have a lot of semi-famous paranormal investigators there, a lot of really good vendors, people dressed as this little Bigfoot, this all but witch. And now they're actually moving it out closer to Marietta, which is a small town down the trail, from Columbia. And actually, like when Laura and I, we went with the group to see the rock already, we actually parked in Marietta, the other town. And on October 11th, when they're having it this year, there's also a brew fest in Marietta. So there'll be several events going on. But it's like you could. I mean, Laura, you've seen it. It really is something to see Chickies Rock, right? Like it's like you even said like how did that form? So even just seeing the sights and the Susquehanna, if it's a nice day, it's a nice event.
Yeah, and seeing Chickies Rock, I think also um brings your story like kind of more to life because you see it there and you can imagine, okay,
Hmm.
what you wrote about. So um
Again, yeah, the premise in, what you do when you're set to an editor, the three-sentence thing is our hero is taking a walk to take away from his time as a superhero and lawyer. He sees this girl fall. He realizes it's a ghost of things happened in the past. And again, in order to bring her, killers to justice, he gets involved in the legends around Chickies Rock.
nice, nice. All right. And did you say that you need to leave now, or are you going to stay with us to the
I
end?
can stay a little bit.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Um, well, what I wanted to talk about today, I was watching a video. I saw a video on YouTube and I clicked on it. It was about the TV show Alien Nation, which started out it was a movie, But the movie and the TV show were very different. Um, the movie was a little more intense. Um, and they only had, that short period of time to, to tell you who the characters were. But I really loved the series. And the story is basically that this this ship of aliens crashes on Earth. And um they are from the uh world of Tecton. And so Earth has to deal with this. And like humans are tend to be sometimes, it was a hard sell, because here's these people that now need to come into our society. They look very different. They um have different um they have their body makeup is different, like yeah, the Tectons, the man has the baby. For example, their religion is different. Everything about them is different, and people don't always react real well to different. And so there was a sort of like morality play you know, in some ways for this show, which kind of if you remember the mini series, and then it became a show too, V also kind of had a similar, you know, kind of moral side to it. Although in that case, the aliens really were dangerous. Um, but funny enough, Alien Nation as a series only lasted one season. Fox, the Fox network was new, and at one point, you know, a new president or whatever came into Fox, and they decided to get rid of all the dramatic shows and stuff. And Alien Nation was one of them. And it actually was continued into like a graphic novel and some other novelizations too, because it ended on a cliffhanger. God, I hate when that happens. um, it's a wonder it wasn't on Sci-Fi Channel, because Sci-Fi likes to do that. Um, but uh, but anyway, it was then continued in a series of five like TV movies that actually did, really well. And there was this story too, because um the um one of the main characters was Matthew Sykes. He's a human police officer, and he gets assigned a partner, Tectonese partner. He's not too thrilled about that, because his original partner was killed during a gunfight with a Tectonese criminal. So he was not the best to George at first, and he would often talk about the slags. That's what was the nasty name that they called the Tectonese. But he came to really become, close to George as he opened up his mind a little bit to understand, them better. The nice thing about the TV show is they did throw in a little humor, um, some lighter moments, so that it wasn't quite as dark and intense as the series was. Plus, they were able to explore the the culture of the Tectonese more. Just like with Stargate. The movie did not go into, as much as the series was able to go into and build the world that, and I know it sounds funny. There was only one season, but here I am talking about, all this stuff. But they also wound up getting Detective Sykes have kind of a relationship with a Tectonese doctor who worked uh, with the police department. And as they developed this relationship into the movies, it was done so beautifully. If you know me, you know I romance don't do that crap. I don't want to hear, I just I'm not a romance gal. But this was done so well because it was done like an adult relationship. And there were some particular things about Tectonese when it comes to sexual stuff that they are very, very strong. And um, so Matthew actually had to get to the point where he was willing to go to like a sex ed type class. But that's how much he cared about, about Kathy. And it was, like I said, it was so well written. I really enjoyed that show. And I'm going to have to find where it might be streaming so that I can watch it again and watch the movies because I just thought it was a nice story. But I also, and I'm going to share my screen and show these guys too. There is a lot of there are a lot of people and a lot of characters who the actors also were on Star Trek. So if you look at this guy here as I share things, remember this guy from Star Trek? Yeah, this uh Gary Graham is his name. And I got to tell you something funny. When I first got the internet and the internet was so new, this was one of the first celebrities I wanted to look up. But um there's also a murderer who was um who was killed was a long time ago, also named Gary Graham. And every time I looked it up, that's what came up was that um, instead of the the actor. And but yeah, Gary was in Star Trek Enterprise. He had a recurring character there. And do you guys remember who it was? Okay. Um, ugh, hold on a minute here. Okay. So I had all of this up. All right. So Gary Graham, who unfortunately died last year, um, he was the ambassador in Star Trek Enterprise. I believe it was in Ambassador Soville. And he was all yeah, Soville, all done up in the you know, the whole Vulcan stuff. So that was Gary Graham. And then another fella who was also, now I know it's hard to tell from him, dressed up as um as this, this character, to decide, well, who was he on Star Trek? Well, he was actually several people. Um, he played in Enterprise, he was one of those hunters on that planet that some of the Enterprise crew went down to, only to find out that they were, hunting, things that they shouldn't be hunting. He was also in an episode of The Next Generation. It was that one where there was three ambassadors who came, and one went off with Worf and like made him angry and stuff because he wanted to experience, anger and stuff like that. The other one went with Deanna Troy and ate a lot of ice cream. Excuse me. Excuse me, a lot of chocolate. And this guy was the one who went with Picard and supposedly, had died in a crash, but it's actually like, he was changing his look to be this lady who like fell in love with Picard and all this stuff so that he could experience love. Um so um so he was in that. Now Michelle Scarabelli, who played Detective Francisco's wife, she was in that episode called In Theory, where her character dates Data, if you remember that one. Um, and you know, things seem okay at first, but he's just too much of an android for her. Um, and there's a few others too that had and I know the fellow who played the Francisco's son, he was in an episode of the X-Files. And um Lawrence Hilton Jacobs was in as one of the other policemen. You'll remember him from Welcome Back, Kotter. And there actually were some guest stars on Alien Nation. Armin Shimmerman, who of course was Quark, was on there. Andreas Katsoulis, who of course did Star Trek, also did Babylon 5, was on there. And so, there was a lot of like, cross-pollinating, so to speak, with Star Trek. And anyway, like I said, I just really liked the show, and I was, kind of happy to be reminded of it. So I thought I'd, share that with all of you out there and you know, see if it reminds you.
Oh
Did
yeah, I remember the show, and it was a good show. Actually, I also remember how they used to get drunk on rotten milk. Curdled milk would get them drunk.
That's what I remember from the original movie, sure.
right, that's right. Oh my God. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mandy Patinkin was played well, he wasn't named George, he was named like Sam Francisco. These names were all given by the officials when they, first, crash and all that. But yeah. Mandy Patinkin wouldn't. Anybody who knows him, this is going to be a joke probably for me only, but anybody anybody who knows him knows he'd never have went into the series, or he would have went into and quit halfway through, because he has done that with a lot of series. But um, Jordan, did you ever see it?
I saw a few episodes of the series,
Okay.
never in its entirety.
All right. All right. Yeah, because you're a little younger than the rest of us, so
Yeah,
but
I saw the original movie.
yeah. Yeah, so anyway, that was like I said, I just wanted to, to talk about that. And hope if you haven't seen it, maybe you'll check it out, or if you have, maybe you'll, chit chat a little bit, because this will go up on YouTube. And, by all means, see it, like it, subscribe to our channel, and comment. We'd really appreciate that. So that's all I have. Jordan, by the way, is now our medical officer. He took over from Mike since Mike took over as our captain. And so Jordan just wants to share a few things with us.
Well, as a medical officer, I just want to emphasize how important it is to look out for our fellow Starfleet officers. And one of the best ways to do that is to remember the signs of a stroke to look for in case anyone you know might suffer from that. So the best way to remember those symptoms is the acronym Be Fast. Like B means balance. Uh, Stroke could mean a loss of balance, and E is for eyes. Here, it could lead to blurred vision or one eye drooping a bit, and F means face. Like you might have trouble smiling if you have a stroke, and one end stays low while the other one goes up, giving you a kind of a crooked smile. A is for arms. So if someone has someone to raise their arms, and if they can't raise one or the other, that could also be a sign.
Yeah, if one sort of drifts, they can't keep it up like that. Yeah.
And S means is for speech. Someone who has had a stroke may have trouble speaking or have slurred speech or be unable to speak. And T is for time. If you can recognize any of these symptoms, then it's important to get help as soon as possible and note the time of it. That's why the whole acronym is Be Fast. So, and also, if you could also add L for legs if someone is having trouble just walking or something, and then it would spell out Belfast, which is also the capital of Northern Ireland.
Yeah. Yeah, I was at Hershey Gardens one time with my sister-in-law, and I noticed she was starting to like kind of it seemed like she was leaning over and she was having trouble walking and stuff like that. And I immediately kind of, are you okay? And had her turn around and so forth and so on. Now it turned out she hadn't eaten breakfast and she was having a little lightheadedness.
And breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Yes. But still, when when you know what to look out for, you can care for people, better. So, yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. What else do you have for us? Anything else?
Well, I also want to talk about the importance of exercise and staying active, especially as we're heading into the colder months. Well, it's harder to stay active for some people, and but eh, while staying healthy is helped by exercising, even that can be difficult for some people to undertake, at least on a regular basis. So the simplest exercise that anyone can do is just go out walking. It's the simplest exercise, and it's very good for you.
Yeah.
So I say just get outside and walk around, even if it's cold out. The cold can be invigorating for a walk.
Absolutely. And it can just make you feel better to be outside too.
Yeah, for
Just
a lot of people, me especially included, the psychological effects of walking. But again, yeah, like you said, Jordan, when it's chilly, you don't have all this sweat coming. You can dress appropriately, and it can be, very pleasant, unless it's, bitter blowing cold. Sure.
right,
Yeah,
right.
then it cuts right to the bone, and it's less enjoyable.
Right.
It's a good point though, because I know like it seems like sometimes like activity closes down during the colder months, but there is so much to do. I mean, there's ice festivals, um there's fall festivals, it's a good time to go out to the wolf sanctuary because which was one of our former charities because the wolves love the cold weather. So, yeah. So you can be active, even during the winter.
And that's arguably could be why Starfleet makes so many of its ships so large. They can stay active walking from place to place on them.
That's right. That's right. And if you, I mean, if you noticed, I mean, Star Trek often had where, people where there were classes, there was the holodeck to do things and all that. Even the astronauts up at the space station have to stay active. Um, and it doesn't mean you have to like run a mile, but at least get there out there and move those legs. Or arms, too. You could do that. Oh,
Well,
well,
that's all I had.
all right. Well, thank you, Jordan. That was nice. Um, like I said, we do have coming up for the rest of the year. Um, we have New Freedom Fest. Please come by and see us. Um, Albert which is just it's fun. And if you're into any kind of cryptids or something like that, it's just nice. It also, like Carl was saying, has some root in history and stuff. We're looking forward to doing the escape room. We had bounced around the idea possibly of a corn maze, but we haven't gotten a lot of input on that at this point. But, watch for on our Facebook page. That's the best place to look and see what's going on right now. Um, we also, of course, will be having our Christmas party again, our holiday party. Um, we'll be having that again in December. That's always fun. And like I said, just keep track on our Facebook page. And if you are on our Facebook page, please feel free to post, please comment, please like. The more engagement we have with posts, the more they stay kind of up there in the front instead of just wandering off. And the more likely you are to then see the post. So, please interact and, we hope to see you guys out at something. And, any last words, guys?
It's
I
been
just
fun.
look forward to seeing everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Live long and prosper.
Yes. And come
Mhm.
out, have too much fun for normal people.
Exactly.
What she said.
Right.
Thank you.